Hey everybody, thank you for joining me today, and please excuse my voice. I've been dealing with a lot of pollen, so it's been a little scratchy, so I may have to clear my throat as we go. I'm starting out with this piece of paper. I'm taking one of the background stamps from the Hanami Garden, that's by Kaiser Craft collection, and I've taken the flower and then stamped the thank you on top of it. So I used, I think it's called Grout Gray, and it's just a light gray that allowed me to be able to put that other stamp on top and have it not distract from it. So we're going to go ahead and start building our card. And I have, whenever there's brads, or if I'm not using the flat back, you know, like the enamel dots or something like that, I always like to make sure I layer up, so that way the brad pieces I can sometimes use foam tape, stuff like that. So all I'm doing is layering all my pieces to match, obviously, the sketch that I first showed you. And once again, I did that strip, the scalloped, just using one of my border punches. And that's how the pattern or the sketch is going to look. I'm not using a lot of foam on this part. I'm trying to keep everything as flat as possible. And for some reason, on this particular sketch, as simple as it is, I had to take stuff off and on a couple of times to get it to line up straight. Because it is so simple, you want it to look, you know, a very specific way. And so I did a lot of having to take stuff up and relay it down. And you'll see that even as I go to the base of the card. Okay, so here I'm making my holes for my 3 brads, and I made a boo-boo. I wind up putting 2 of the holes too close to each other, and I called myself trying to fix it, and I was going to try and hide it with the brad, and it didn't look right. Everything was kind of wonky and uneven, so I decided to fix it, which I believe I do it off camera, but I just add like a 1/4 inch strip of the white on top of this panel piece, and then I do my brad holes again, and 1, 2, 3, and it's nice and even. And the Tim Holtz ruler is great for that because it has the holes at the bottom, and that's what I use to make my holes. But for some reason, you could see it there, it's just, it was wonky, and it just wasn't right. And I was like, would I rather people notice that that's kind of crazy looking, or just make the fix and they might see a little bit of a line, but at least it would look better? So that's what I decided to do. That way I didn't have to scrap everything we were working on. We could just keep moving forward. So I'm making the 3 holes and adding in our the brads. And I'm sorry I'm off camera on this part. I was trying to make sure that everything was lining up. And then that was our original sentiment. And on this part, I decided that I was going to put foam tape on the back of the sentiment piece. Just a few. And then I was like, of course I'm going to lift up this piece. And my first thought was, you know, just skip the brads. And then I decided to go ahead and lay down some tape just in case, just to keep them protected. And then I finish out my piece there with 2 more pieces of foam tape. And then right here is where you're going to see where I have the issues. It's funny because sometimes the foam tape, it doesn't stick and you can pull it right up. And then there's other times like this where as soon as it grazes the paper, it sticks and it stays, you know. So I wind up pulling it off and leaving the foam tape on the base of the card and taking the top off. And then all I do is just clear off some of those pieces from the card, the focal piece, and reline it up and try to get it as even as possible. and that's your card. It's really simple, but really pretty. You can highlight different pattern papers with this, do something that really stands out. And you can use your scraps because it doesn't take that much. I want to say the pattern paper was only like 2 5/8 by, I want to say like 5 inches. Alright, so make sure that you guys hit the like, subscribe, and share button. And make sure you check out the 2 videos at the end. They will be linked to previous Friday sketches. Alright, you guys, have a great weekend.